OBS. But here we go. We're starting with the Black Forest, exactly as expected. This is gonna be BF, bit of a pause at the start, but it should be going. And how's it gonna be looking overall? Let's just turn on the Fog 4 because, like, why? The civilizations are gonna be for RFR, Spanish, Mongols, and Celts. That's fairly normal. For the opponents, Spanish, Mongols as well. So basically the same in here. And are there gonna be some kind of mistakes as far as walling goes? I just need to orientate myself. Green, yellow, and purple. Green, yellow, purple. Okay, so this is gonna be right and left side. Yeah. So there's gonna be one choke point here, which is so far totally uncontested. Nobody coming for it yet. Interestingly enough, so apparently neither Stefan nor Bullet are interested in basically walling in there. As at the top side, it's gonna be something a bit different. And well, he was just sending one of the deers back and already coming with 2 villagers. How's he looking for the opponent? Also 2 villagers and a scout. And oh, they're though having... Okay, they're having a jaguar. So they're already gonna be having a bit of a disadvantage. With another scout coming up right now from Aramis, this is gonna be... Oh well, Spaden needs some kind of help. He definitely needs the help there. And maybe he should be getting even some extra villages, because you could have seen this. There's one Jaguar is of course gonna be making quite a big difference in here, and this is gonna be all about the proper micro who's gonna be winning. So far it seems that Dark Levi's is, or rather Spaden is gonna be running away, as Dark Levi's is probably not gonna be helping him enough. So that's gonna be one dead villager, and the second is still alive-ish. Those 2 villages from blue are kinda okay. That was one scout dead, that's from the blue player. Another villager coming in, another 2 villagers coming in. This is exactly important. For the enemies, we don't see anything else coming up. So this is actually gonna be not great result for Maxi. Even though he already did force a red villager from Spaden, and he's of course gonna be slowing him down through sending extra villies in here. But on Black Forest, it doesn't really matter all that much. All that matters is where you are able to place your walls. And apparently it's gonna be here. Maybe you could have gone all the way there. There's gonna be opportunity for a bit nicer wall for still the blue player. Oh well, yeah. Fortunately, I'm kinda thinking he should have maybe left at least the scout there. Well, he's kinda deadish, maybe one villager. And to slow this down, slow this guy down as possible, for as long as possible as well. But yeah, well, he opted for not really wasting more time for his economy. And that's what exactly happened in there. In the meantime, on the left side, nothing happened. Yeah, there wasn't really any kind of fight at all. You can see the villages are full health. So that was quite fine. And not really that much of a surprise here. This is gonna be fairly standard choke point for both teams. Otherwise, in the middle, this is this is actually very important for both sides. Look at all those boars. Look at all those boars. Like, seriously, there are 8 boars here. Wow. And is it gonna be actually Bullet who is gonna be claiming all of them? Because so far I don't see anybody from Arcs coming there, which is really kind of curious. And that should be allowing Bullet to maybe go for a bit more greedy build, trying to maybe even lure this boar by the scout, and then behind him build a wall. That's probably something I would do, because it seems kind of logical at this point. But question is how much he actually sees, because he doesn't have to see all that we see. Yeah, he knows about the boars, of course, because we are on rebuild map right now. The scout is gonna be telling him that he can place a wall there, and yes. And I'm really curious how he's gonna be playing it with getting some of the extra boars, because he could be getting more of them. That's just a bit of a patrol in, expecting that the opponents could be coming there as well. But apparently that doesn't seem that actually something is gonna be happening here all that much. Finally, right now Aramis is gonna be checking, and yeah, Hermes, nice to actually see that you guys, Mundo AoE, are gonna be also streaming the other match, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Abraxas was saying me, or rather telling me, that Gaucho versus In Love should be streamed by you. So feel free to post the link in the chat once that is actually live. That should be starting about now or something. Something like that. But let's go back to the match on our hand in here. At our hands between ARCs and RFRs. And so far, this is... okay. He's actually thinking that maybe he could be leaving the villager there. Unfortunately for him, Stefan knows about it, and he's gonna be letting the scout in, of course. And does he have loom? Yes, he does. He's gonna be quite fine, and, well, let's scratch that. This is still gonna be quite interesting. What's gonna happen? Yes, he needs to leave the scout there, and right now quick call, exactly. This was very nicely played. Very nicely played by Bullet, exactly a nice decision making in this situation. And of course, we could be expecting right now that Aramis is finally gonna be closing this gap, but still he did relinquish quite a significant portion of this choke point, basically the whole choke point, which is gonna be leading to some quite big problems a bit later, because this is gonna be a wide open way right into the heart of arcs. And these situations, something like this, is what actually wins games from Black Forest. So let's see if that's gonna be true here as well. Otherwise, double on the left by Philosopher. Just single wall by Stefan so far. Just by him so far, as of course there's gonna be a bit of, well, not really all that much of a scout in Spade, and sending just a few rookies that he did find a bit earlier to his ally, trying to help him in his boom. As otherwise at the top we have already seen a lot of the walling coming on in here by Maxi, and he's not underestimating anything at all. So far just single wall by Spaden, but I'm really thinking with the villages being nearby, this is gonna be reinforced into normal stone wall quite soon. Nothing really all that unusual. So in the meantime, as we are gonna be waiting for the players to advance into basically castle ages, feudal ages are just a kinda middle step in here. Nothing all that huge. We're gonna be looking here. This is definitely dockable. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 shorefish. This is dockable. This is something that actually Maxi could be coming for, and probably should be. That probably should be, as Stefan is very, very well aware that the Bullet is having the scout in here. So that is... well, this is actually second pond. That could be dockable. You can see even more. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, even 6 fishies. This should be docked. This at this point should be docked, because that is a pretty big advantage. The second pond on the right side is unfortunately not having anything at all, so that would be a waste. As the only pond for RFRs, which is kind of on the hill. This is kind of funny spawn. Actually, not a good spawn. This is actually a very bad spawn for them. Not only because of the water that it doesn't have fishies, but because of trade. This is shallow, so this is gonna be passable, but I'm kinda afraid that they may have to do a bit of landscaping. Because this is just basically a recipe for disaster a bit later. This is gonna be a choke point definitely for the trade in the later game. They will have to do something about it, because the trade is gonna be coming from about here. From here all the way. Well, this is gonna have to go, but that's no problem. That's gonna be gotten rid of fast enough, but there are choke points here. Quite actually tight. This might be an issue as well. And I'm really not liking the map all that much for RFRs as far as the trade goes actually. Because I'm not entirely certain that they're gonna be placing the markets all that much a bit later. They should be somewhere here, so probably Spaden will have to delete a few houses or whatever. Because he probably doesn't want to do anything else, as right now player 6, aka Bullet, aka Bullet is right now in the middle of the Red's base, trying to find what's gonna happen in there. What's gonna happen in there if he potentially can get some advantage from that. In the meantime, of course, the wall has been finished by Aramis in the middle, as everybody's clicking into castle ages and whatnot, as Bullet is coming very late into feudal with 29 villagers. Okay. So he's probably gonna be interested in basically just jumping Imperial, which is usual, because of course you just want the Spanish to do something significant in the castle age. Otherwise, who is the one advancing fairly soon? Dark Levi is Spanish, yes. Red should be the same. Yes, it's the double Spanish. Otherwise, Aramis is advancing into castle at reasonable timing as well as the Mongol, so that he can start his booming. That is, of course, making sense as well. Well, he's apparently gonna be walled in. It's almost looking like that this poor scout might have been walled in, but yeah, he noticed. It's not like there are all that many things right now that you need to be actually keeping attention at. But yeah, well, Stefan maybe could have kept the scout alive, but at this point, it's not like it matters a whole lot. It really pretty much doesn't. Outpost, so that he sees what's gonna happen if something is gonna happen, which probably could, because Maxi is also advancing quite fast. It's kinda interesting that actually arcs are advancing faster than RFRs generally. Is it gonna be reflected in the number of villages? Not all that much, to be honest. You can see only Philosopher is having a bit more. So there is a reason for that. For Spaden at 27, not that much. You can see that he's basically less than all the other players, but he was also the one who was fighting at the start and lost the villager. So that's kind of the reason for him to be advancing that late. Yeah, it all makes pretty good sense. Okay, in the meantime, of course, in the middle, they're gonna be using the advantage of the very nice wall that they got into the middle of the enemy territory. So castle from the Spanish is coming in the middle, and that is gonna be resulting into trying to basically break through the wall in with shooting on the palisade and then a few petards to get through the stone wall. So at this point, I'm really thinking that Aramis should be already investing quite heavily into the second row, because he's right now gonna be discovering exactly what's gonna happen. Yep, surprise, castle is already coming up, and he will know that he will probably need a few more villages, because at this point, yes, this dude is not gonna be finishing. He's not even gonna be finishing with the wall, so this is actually pretty great right now for RFRs. You could be expecting, let's switch into Dark Device, just basically see what he's gonna be producing. First, a few Conquistadors to help prevent the wall in, and then next it's gonna be a few petards to get through and basically get into the radiant of the enemy economy. So that's through the palisade. This wall is just basically being built. It's gonna be fairly easier to get through for the castle and for some kind of siege units. I like the petards, of course, as I'm keeping repeating. But this is gonna be very severely hard for arcs to actually deal with, because they don't have any kind of option how to wall here. Like, how do you want to wall this? This is like wide open. So yeah, this is exactly the importance of proper walling on Black Forest, and what the first minute and the VD fights are all about. That's of course gonna be significant advantage for RFRs, and let's see if they will be able to use it right now, getting through and coming through. And yet Aramis Ox exactly right now telling his teammates that they should be basically trying to wall themselves. They should be trying to wall themselves because they are right now inside, and Aramis is it's kinda the dish at this point, because he's not really ready for anything at all. He's just having plenty of town centers, which is gonna help him. Maybe if he produces a few monks, he could be staying alive a bit longer. But right now what needs to happen is exactly this. Well, I would be going for a stone wall. Not entirely certain that actually palisade is gonna be enough at this stage against Conquistadors, but still, yep, finally, here we go. This is gonna be the monastery and a few monks coming up, which will be exactly the bane of all those Conquistadors. But it's gonna be taking time before they are actually ready in there. Two of them are up. Oh, no, that's not what Aramis wanted at all. As well, that just happened, but unfortunately, not really seen all that much of walling by Stefan yet. He's right now working on it, just a bit slowly. I would be definitely liking for Dark Device to come a bit more to the left side as well. With some Conquistador, basically just send at least one or two, so that you can see what your opponent is doing. But yeah, he's giving all the time in the world to Stefan to basically wall up. He also needs to put a wall in there, of course, but otherwise he seems to be nicely ready for everything. Just making sure that Philosopher is not gonna be surprising him all that much in there. But I'm at this point thinking that he might be really coming forward through the middle. Because at this point, why not? As on the right side, the breach has happened as well. And you can see that Spaden is already sending some Conquistadors, or rather, not Conquistadors. It's a similar unit, but it's Mangurai all the way into Maxi's base. And well, this is a pretty big surprise for him, because Maxi wasn't expecting this at all. And even though their economies are not that bad, they are probably slightly better, you can see, than RFRs. Well, this double breach, that was just right now blocked. That was a bit sloppy right now by Spaden. He did have the opportunity in there. Still, those guys are up, and they are exactly the correct counter unit to deal with the Scorpions, of course. Yep, that's gonna be a bit of a problem for him. He will need a bit more petards to actually get through. As of course, in the middle, well, Stefan is fine. That's kind of nice to hear for the other Arcs players, that he's fine, but yeah, the other players are not exactly fine, has to be said, because Aramis is in pretty deep trouble. You can see that he's losing units and even some villages in here, as he's desperately trying to somehow stall the situation and get some few monks up. As he's gonna be hoping for a castle right now, but yeah, those monks, they are unfortunately not in good enough numbers. And those Conquistadors, on the other hand, definitely are. So, definitely nicely played by RFR so far, and unfortunately for Arcs, they're not exactly having a good game. Especially with all of those Mangurais on the right side as well, but they're kinda dwindling in numbers. And, oh well. So nicely done right about now by Maxi. Trying to basically be as annoying to his opponent as possible. Trying to produce as many walls to basically slow down all of those petards that are just now coming through. But come on! Come through and come through as well. Okay, there is actually a way through. He doesn't need to do this. Okay. So he's through. Maybe the petard could be just... Is he gonna be destroying the scorpion? Yes. That's an interesting use of the petard. I was maybe thinking it could have been a bit better choice to basically get rid of the walls in there. As yep, another wall is gonna be coming up, and this time it's gonna be finishing because of course the scorpions are still there. So this is actually a very nice little battle in here. That unfortunately for Spaden is not really going his way all that much. He did get there. He did get there, but unfortunately it didn't really do any kind of lasting damage, and maybe it did a bit more damage to himself. Not entirely certain, really. But what is definitely doing damage is Dark Revice in Aramis's base, and he is doing so much of it. You can see all those skeletons in there on the wood line. Keeping villages idle. You can see 19 villages out of 56 are idle, and that is not really huge for the pocket player, especially since he is a Mongol, and he wants to be booming as fast as possible. The villagers are looking for RFR 6752, 98 for bullet. For the opponent, Stefan is the only one doing well at 93. Then 56, or rather 58 and 75, which is actually ever so slightly better than RFR, so the villagers are kinda equalish. Not really any kind of significant advantage, which is basically just speaking to the ability of Aramis to somehow hold his own. And well, on the left side, it's probably gonna be up to Stefan if he can somehow get onto Bullet and kill him altogether. But of course, with the way being basically free into the middle, this is just gonna be waiting for Bullet to basically drop what he wants in the middle. Probably gonna be dropping some siege workshop and whatever. Maybe some barracks. Not entirely certain, because so far we don't see really all that many units being made by Aramis, for example. But he did finish a castle, apparently. Oh yeah, there's a castle behind his base. Basically a protective one, and it's allowing him to produce at least a few Mangurais in the castle that he's in. And that could be just enough, because cavalry archers overall are not a bad counter unit to Conquistadors, and he's definitely right now losing the numbers in there. So it's just a question of time before those are gone for good. Imperial Age is coming for Bullet and for Stefan. It's actually gonna be a very important game-changing moment potentially in there. Oh, yeah, here we go. Already horses are gonna be getting ready for Stefan, as he's also producing a castle basically just for some kind of protection. And for a few trebuchets as well. But I'm not expecting that he's gonna be attacking on actually Philosopher all that much. Especially since we are gonna be expecting exactly this. Yeah, the pumping into the middle, and he probably is gonna be forced then into the same position in there as the Conquistadors are finally kinda dead. Kinda dead right there. So yes, Spaden, definitely nice catch. Europe, that his house at this point. At 70, definitely not really all that ideal for him. Could be using plenty more houses, but he seems to be very nicely protected at this point for a Maxi. And he is basically right now booming off and hoping that he can survive long enough. As he's coming into Imperial Age, it seems that he could be really having a bit better game than Spaden so far. Well, in the meantime, Halberdier is coming up for Philosopher, that makes sense. Otherwise, Cavalier for Stefan. Imperial Age for Spaden as well. Siege Rams for Bullet as well. Okay, so everybody coming into their own in the Imperial Ages, exactly as you would be expecting. But this is at this point kind of turning into normal Arabia-like battle, not really full-on Black Forest. Because of course the battlefield is right in the face of Aramis and in the middle of enemy base. And this is important for another reason, because if they stay here, if RFR stay in this position, they're gonna be basically not enabling trade at all. Arc trade is not gonna be possible at all, and basically it's gonna be all about the gold, and once the gold runs out, yeah, well, goodbye, game is over. So yeah, basically this is just playing for time, and arcs are having the X above their neck. They need to do something very fast if they want to have some kind of reasonable endgame. It's of course gonna be very hard because of another castle finished right now for Bullet, so that he can produce at least a few Woe Traders here and there, and maybe even some trebuchets if he wants to. as the barracks are gonna be produced in the middle as well. So of course the siege workshop is gonna be producing a few rams so far, but onages are coming up already as well. Makes plenty of sense, and otherwise bloodlines for Aramis. Yeah, he's just gonna be continuing, of course, with the Mangudais, and his Imperial Age is coming up as well. This is also very important. So Stefano with Paladins, he's gonna be probably the fastest, it seems like, or rather the first in the game. It definitely seems so at this point, but this army is getting really kind of scary at this point for Aramis, because he's gonna be needing the assistance quite soon, and it's gonna turning into more or less a 3 versus 1, which is gonna be turned into 2. But what is exactly Maxi right now doing? He's just booming, not really advancing on his enemy, and this is kinda scary by Spaden, because you can see he's not basically building any wall in. And if Maxi does scout this, then he just basically steamrolls into the middle of Spaden's economy. Like, come on. This is just inviting trouble into your team. This is not exactly great, as apparently there's gonna be switched to the left into the middle battlefield as well. And it's almost looking like that you're gonna be seeing a massive 3v3. Definitely looks possible at this point. With yellow pushing forward, with of course as a Spanish some stables for Paladins for himself, but he's only now getting into Cavaliers, so the power spike could definitely be very real, and it definitely is. You can see Stefan with the highest score even in the game, pushing right now forward with trebuchets and the Paladins ready. Not fully upgraded yet, but it's gonna be just now rectified as I'm talking about it. And yes, this is gonna be a problem even for the halberdiers, just basically for the efficiency, especially considering that the Spanish are there ready with the conquistadors and the castles. Yeah, those castles are a problem. Okay, so he's kinda hoping to lure them a bit closer, maybe even to allow this castle to shoot as well. But now it's gonna be all about efficiency and basically just Paladins being super strong. And dealing with the halberdiers who are not having blast furnace yet. Yeah, just now being researched. Okay, that was important for the battle. That was the reason why actually the halberdiers weren't doing as maybe we could have expected, because they were missing still the last upgrade, which is quite substantial at this point. And of course that resulted in quite a resounding victory. The castle is down as well. It's gonna be an attempt at another siege workshop, and this could be quite a successful rescue mission actually for Aramis. This is looking quite promising for them. Plenty of trebuchets are there. Gonna be getting rid of the castles. This one is gonna be next in line, and Aramis is still very much alive. Still very much alive in there. He has been able to finish very important castles in here, and this is looking like really some kind of... I'm not entirely certain that I want to say comeback for Arcs, because even though they were under attack, they weren't really beaten all that much. They were doing a very good job in the defense, especially Aramis was. He just basically refused to die altogether. He certainly refused to die in there. As on the right side, we are looking at... They are still kind of pushing forward in there. Might be shooting at the gold in here, but I'm definitely a whole lot more worried for Spaden. Because at this point he needs to be realizing, he needs to be significantly realizing that this is not walled, and the siege are coming up, and they are already siege on edges, so they can basically even cross, for example, the wood line. So yeah, right now even walling is useless, and with all the army coming forward, Spaden will need to retreat back, and he won't be able to actually help his allies in the middle at all. So this is gonna be turning into proper 2v2, with Paladins not coming yet. Not coming yet from Darkly-wise. You can see he's still in the Cavaliers. There's definitely a problem. Maxi is coming for Furor Celtica. Yep, that is gonna be improving his game quite significantly. And actually, suddenly, the game is looking very good for Arcs. The game is suddenly looking very good for them. And that's a bit surprising, because we could have been expecting that RFRs, through that huge advantage they got, getting into the middle, they should be kind of rolling over their opponents, but they are anything but. They are anything but. And the Argentinians are looking very promising at this point. You can see the economies 125, 107, 123. For Arcs, for the opponents, for RFRs, kinda better a bit. 127, 114, 135. So this game is far from over, but maybe it could be even faster. Or rather, far from over. It could be getting near there, because this is looking a bit problematic for Spaden. He doesn't seem to be having all that many Mangudais yet. He's definitely missing the armor. You can see even party and tactics just now being researched only at 40 minutes game time. So his economy is kinda slowed down, and fighting against all of that spam of halberdiers with, of course, the siege on edges, that is always gonna be a bit of an issue for him. Yep. Looking for some nice shots if he can actually get them. Astrekin is coming up for bullet with Manet. Man arms for him. Okay. That's an interesting switch. Basically, that's gonna be some kind of counter. Probably to halberdiers or whatever. That's something that you would be expecting. Maybe to help on the right side. He's gonna be producing a siege workshop. If he can get the villager in here, but yeah, well, there's not really all that much of a space in there. He even needs to start basically in the middle of the trade route. That's already not all that ideal. You can see that we're already starting here. As at the top, or rather in the middle, kinda. You can see that RFRs are slowly but absolutely surely losing ground. Absolutely surely. But yeah, right now with the building of those bombard towers, that could be at least slowing the advance down of their opponents. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if they actually switched into some kind of surprise attack from above here. I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. And maybe it could be an idea for Bullet as well. Because kinda why not? You can just go through this way. You know that you can be getting right into the middle of the opponent's economy. And that definitely can happen because he does have the upgrade. And since he should be seeing that the middle is kinda lost and reclaimed by arcs. So that's definitely very nicely played by them. They didn't panic. Didn't rage quit or anything like that. And just advancing forward. And it's gonna be probably right now all about the battle on the right. Where finally the Archivist is gonna be producing a few bombard towers as well. Yep, exactly as you're saying, Hermes. If the Mongols were to lose the castles, that would be the death of them. Because, let's face it, there's not infinite amount of stone on this map. And once you actually use all of that and you kinda start buying, the prices start getting ridiculous very soon. And you can see plenty of stone is even being used for the bombard towers. It can become a bit of an issue. And not something that you can actually withstand for too long. In the meantime, of course, Aramis is gonna be joining on the right flank as well. As castle is gonna be attempted to rebuild, which is probably gonna finish because of all the onages in there. Oh well, this is looking very good right now for Maxi to be basically entrenched at this point, but with the trebuchet is being just now ready, it might just not be for too long. Might just not be for too long as the castle is just now finished. Okay, so that's that. And in the middle, there is still kind of battle going on. As RFRs apparently don't want to give up on any kind of chance that they could be reclaiming it back. But it doesn't really seem that they could be really doing anything significant in here. Just a few units from yellow. That's not gonna be doing anything all that major. But at this point, since there are plenty of bombard towers in the middle, and there are not really all that many places how to maneuver, so the halberdiers potentially will be able to stop any kind of advance of units here. I would be liking some kind of divisive action from Red. He should be really putting his back after rather behind something like pushing here. Because if he can push through this little clearing, he's gonna be right on the trade. He's gonna be right on the trade, which is something that you need to see from the basic map layout itself. Because of course everybody sees what's happening on the map because of playing on explored. So yeah, that is basically one way to deal quite a fatal blow to the enemy. But let's see if Stefan is gonna be figuring it out, because so far he isn't, and he is kinda futilely pushing through the middle. But it might not be turning that futile, because apparently the bombard towers are not coming up in enough numbers in here. And even though the units are, still would be like in a few more of those yellow buildings to be coming in there. In the meantime, on the right side, castle has been leveled through all of those siege prepared by Maxi. You can see how many trebuchets is he actually having. So many. So many trebuchets in there. He's absolutely leveling everything in there. You can see he's having how many? 3 blue, and then there are 2 helping by Aramis. Okay, so that's the reason. He's even being helped by his teammate, and they are definitely eating forward into RFRs. And RFRs are in pretty deep trouble. Those 2 castles are gonna be stopping advance through this side, even though already plenty of onage fire has been apparently done here. And there's gonna be an attempt, it seems like, by RFRs to somehow cut forward and maybe like kinda cut back into Maxi somewhere here, somewhere there. But they are not entirely certain. But of course they are right now pushing forward very strongly as Stefan is making his way even all the way through top. Is he gonna be sending just units there? Or is it gonna be a few villages there as well, as they are landscaping for better trade route? Yeah, that was something I said a bit before. That is probably gonna be needed on this map. But in the middle the battle is still raging. And maybe Arx might have underestimated the position, as they were actually sending units to the right side. A bit more than they should have. And the middle seems to be yet again going slightly, ever so slightly for RFRs. And they might be actually right now pushing forward in here. Yeah, they're definitely good. You can see the halberdiers are definitely in good numbers. The paladins from Dark Device are not really half bad. But finally, Aramis is noticing that his assistance is needed in the middle as well. And he's sending units there as fast as possible. Well, there we go. With the attempt of RFRs to go forward, let's switch to the right battlefield yet again, as finally some kind of extra bombard tower is coming up, but the castles are yet again under fire from all the trebuchets, and not even the Mangurais seem to be really in good enough numbers to somehow deal with that. Yeah, that seems to be a bit of an issue for them, as there was a micro post, not really all that major. But yeah, this push by Arx is definitely very hard to stop for a run forest round, and not having all that many chances in here, as Spaden just basically cannot handle it alone, because how could he, once he's not facing just basically one opponent, and unfortunately he's not receiving all that much of an assistance. The assistance should be probably coming from Bullet, but unfortunately he is quite kept on the left side. Quite kept there. How's it looking, for example, with the populations? Interestingly enough, Stefan could be coming a bit higher, but he's producing the expensive units, so it kinda makes sense. Aramis at 159 as well. The population limit is a whole lot better for RFRs. Just Spaden is having quite significant issues because he's losing castles and he cannot produce anything else. So probably at this point, if I were him, I would be already switching, or rather at least trying to make up for the losses by some stables and hussars, of course, which is kind of usual for Mongols to do in the later game. But he's losing the castles. He's losing the castles everywhere. And right now, he's down to basically one. He's a Mongol and he's down to one castle. So, yeah, he's kinda toastish. He's right now kinda toastish. And they're gonna be hoping that something can be done in the middle, but apparently not. Because bombard towers are coming up also from Arx. And yeah, this is where the GGs are gonna be called, as even though the middle is not entirely decided, the right side definitely is. And unfortunately for, well, for RFRs, their home map is actually turning against them. So nicely played by Argentinians, and they are leading in the match 2-0. They are leading in the match 2-0 after quite nicely turning the match around, because this was definitely in favor of RFRs, but they just couldn't punish Aramis enough in there. Well, they will have to look at the Reds and see where the things went wrong for them. But let's check the achievements, as we're gonna be heading into the third map, which is gonna be the home map for Argentinians. Okay, so Stefan, high score in here. Well, he was the only one who probably didn't have any kind of troubles. Bullet is the same, so that's why they are so high in the score. But what has to be said is basically Aramis's defense is what allowed Arx to basically win this game. Because if he wasn't so competent in stopping any kind of attempts by Dark Device to kill his economy, then yeah, the game would have been over so soon. But yeah, well, that's the experience coming through. That's the experience coming through. Not much of a slinging, just something small into Spaden in there to help him back on his feet, but unfortunately just didn't help enough. Okay, GG.